Everyone's talking about AI agents right now, but honestly, most people are still using AI the same way that they were 2 years ago. They open ChatGPT, type a question, get an answer, copy paste it somewhere. That's level 1. Now, if you're someone who's not satisfied with basic AI usage, and if you feel like you should be getting way more out of these tools, if you're essentially running things as a one-person team and you need to multiply your output, then pay close attention. This video is going to change how you work because I'm going to show you how to properly use AI agents. What I'll do is walk you through every level of AI usage, from basic chat all the way up to fully autonomous AI agents that do work while you're not even at your computer or while you're sleeping. And I'm going to show you real examples of each of these levels so you can actually understand how to use them and how to implement them. Now, this video is sponsored by Genspark, an all-in-one AI workspace that went from $0 to $250 million in annual run rate in just 12 months. Now, the reason that I picked them for this video is because they're one of the only platforms where you can see every level of AI usage in one place. Now, that said, what I'm going to show you here is agnostic, meaning you can use it anywhere you want or on multiple other platforms, but Genspark just has it all in one place, hence why I'm going to show it to you. Anyways, let's get into it. So before I show you anything, let me explain the framework. Now, there's basically 4 levels to how you can use AI right now in 2026, and most people are stuck on level 1 without even realizing that these other 3 levels exist. Now, level 1 is AI chat. You ask a question, you get an answer, and this is something like ChatGPT, right? This is Claude. This is where 90% of people think AI is. Now, it's useful, but you're doing all the work. You're deciding what to ask, you're the one copying and pasting the output, you're figuring out what to do with it. Now, as an example, you're prepping for a meeting, and you ask the AI, summarize the key trends in SaaS pricing for 2026. Now, you get a solid answer, but you still have to take that and do something with it yourself. Now, level 2 is AI tools. Now, this is where AI starts doing specific jobs. So building slides, writing documents, analyzing spreadsheets, generating images, right? Now, it's not just answering questions anymore, it's actually producing finished work. But you're still driving it, right? And you're initiating every task. Now, as an example, you need a pitch deck or a slide deck for a client call tomorrow. Now, instead of spending 3 hours in PowerPoint, you describe what you need, and the AI produces a finished presentation that you can actually send. Now, level 3 is AI workflows. Now, this is where AI starts connecting tasks together automatically. So instead of you saying, do this now do this, now do this, now do this, you set up a pipeline once and your AI handles the whole chain automatically. So for example, research this, put it in a spreadsheet, email me the results, you set it and it runs. So maybe every morning you need to catch up on overnight messages, figure out your priorities for the next day, or prep for your first meeting, right? The goal is to walk into your workday fully briefed without spending 45 minutes doing it manually. Now, you could build a workflow that does all of this for you and gives you that morning routine, and we're actually going to look at that later. Okay, now level 4, AI agents. Now, this is the current frontier, and this is where you give the AI a goal. So you don't give it a task, you just give it a general goal, and it figures out the steps on its own. Now, it can browse the web, write code, send messages, manage files. It reasons about what to do next. Now, this is where things get pretty cool, and an example of this is that you might want to launch a landing page for a new product. Now, the goal is a live deployed website with real copy, real visuals, working sign-up form, whatever. Now, you don't tell the agent how to do this, you just describe what the finished product looks like, and it researches, finds the competitors, the design, writes the code, sources the images, and deploys the entire site for you. You started with the goal, and you got the result. Now, here's the thing. You're probably going to need all 4 levels of this depending on what you're doing. Now, the mistake is thinking that one level is better than another. Sometimes you just need to ask a quick question. Sometimes you need an agent running for hours. Depends on your use case, but I want to show you all of the 4 levels here so you understand how to use them and how to put them into practice. All right, so what I'm going to do here is dive into Genspark. I've got to open up my computer. And again, like I mentioned, you have all 4 levels available here. You have workflows, you have chat, you have slides, whatever. You're going to see how it works. Let's start with level 1. Okay, so level 1 is AI chat. Now, you already know what this is, but Genspark here does something that's a little bit different and worth pointing out. Now, most AI tools like ChatGPT, Claude, whatever, they lock you into one model. So if you're using ChatGPT, you're using GPT. If you're using Anthropic's, you're using Claude, right? Now, with Genspark, you actually get unlimited access to all of the top models. So GPT, Claude, Gemini, doesn't matter, and it will pick the best model for your specific task automatically. Now, it's worth noting because if you use a tool like Claude, for example, you'll very quickly run out of the usage, even if you're on like a $200 per month plan. But with Genspark, for any of their paid users, they actually offer unlimited access to all of the top AI models, assuming that you're not abusing it. So you can even do like image generation, for example, completely unlimited inside of this tool. And you'll see you can switch between light, standard, and ultra. And if you go to ultra, you're using Opus 4.7, the top model, but with no limits here and at a significantly cheaper price. You just use it. You don't need to worry about rationing the credits. So what I'll do just as an example for level 1 is something like this, right? Give me a detailed breakdown of the current state of AI coding tools in 2026, what's available, pricing, pros and cons of each. Let's hit enter. Let's see what we get. All right, so that took 1 or 2 minutes here because I put it in the ultra mode where it just uses a little bit more reasoning. We can see it did some searches here. So it searched through a bunch of different websites, got all of the results, and then let me just close this here and pulled it back and gave us kind of this long chat, right? So heavyweight IDEs, full comparison, you know, kind of a table, whatever, you get the idea. And this works well, but again, we're kind of stuck in the chat interface here. If I want something from here, I'm copying and pasting it, and I don't really have anything usable, I just have information. That's level 1. Now let's move to level 2. So like I mentioned, level 2 is when we're using AI tools that actually produce finished work. Now, if we go to the new button here inside of Genspark, you'll see there's a bunch of options like AI slides, sheets, docs, developer, video, chat, whatever, AI image. And all of these are agents that are set up by Genspark with access to specific tools that allow them to actually create finished products or finished work. So let's go over to AI slides here. All right, so from here, we have a lot of different options for how we actually create the presentation. We can change the ratio. In my case, I'll just keep it 16:9. We can also go into creative mode. If we do that, it's going to give us visuals that are generated using image generation models like Nano Banana or GPT Image 2 rather than just like key information. So you'll get kind of like infographic type stuff, as you could see right here, which is kind of cool. So let's try that out. And then we can turn on guide mode as well. And what this is going to do is step through and ask us a bunch of questions about the presentation before it creates it to make sure that we have everything defined. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to just paste in all the information that we had from, the previous section where we're using the chat mode. And I'm going to say, create a 5-page PowerPoint presentation with the key details from the text above. Okay. And of course we could be more specific, but for now, let's go with that. Let's hit enter and let's see what we get. Okay, so you can see because we're in guide mode here, what it's actually doing is creating kind of a plan of what it needs to do here before it goes and creates the PowerPoint. Typically, whatever tool you're using, you should kind of have a general plan of what you want to be on the slides, what images you're going to generate, etc. So even if you're not using Genspark, just make sure you have some kind of plan before you use these types of tools, because typically the AI is going to be better when it goes through it in phases and steps rather than trying to generate the entire thing at once. Now, a lot of the top models will try to do that automatically, but you can see here it's kind of built into this particular tool where it's going through here, you know, phase 1, phase 2, etc., and mapping what's actually going to be on each slide. Perfect. And then you can see it's asked us the first question here. What's the primary audience for this presentation? Let's just go with YouTube audience like that. The core purpose, let's go maybe information transfer. And then how is this going to be delivered? Let's go live presentation like that. So it just wrapped up the PowerPoint now. I think this took about 3 or 4 minutes, and I'm pretty impressed by the quality of GPT Image 2 here with the image gen. I guess the prompting was good here from Genspark as well, but if you have a look at these are all images. So this isn't like generated with, you know, HTML or something. This was Image 2 generating this, or GPT Image 2. And you can see that we have the 5 slides I asked for. Looks really good. And then if I want, I can edit something, right? AI edit, go in, enrich the content, simplify, whatever, or I can export it. So if I go to the presentation view, for example, it's going to bring it to me right here. I could play the slides, or I could just export it as like a PDF, PowerPoint, Google Slides, whatever, and then use it however I want. So overall, that's level 2. It's actually having the AI agent produce real work for you that you can use. In this case, it's a PowerPoint slide, but like I mentioned before, there are a ton of other tools you could use: chat, podcast, video, research, you know, AI sheets, documents, images, whatever. You guys get the idea, but let's move over to level 3. So in level 3, we talk about automation. Now, this is where most people's minds really should light up here, because this is where AI starts to actually become useful and save you hours of time by doing something automatically. Now, the idea is pretty simple. Instead of you doing the same sequence of tasks every single day, you build a workflow one time, and then an AI handles that whole chain. Now, the difference between this and basic automation, things like, you know, Zapier, Make, whatever, is that there's actually AI reasoning that's inside of the loop. So it's not just, if this happens, then do that. If this happens, do that. It's more along the lines of read this, understand it, make a decision, and then take an action based on that. It's a lot more customized and works longer term because you don't need to handle every single edge case up front. Now, Genspark actually just launched their own workflow tool here. So if you press into the workflows button, I'm going to show you how to do this. And we're actually going to create our own workflow from scratch. Now, again, you can build workflows in all kinds of other tools, but I just want to show you an example of what I mean here so you can see why this is actually incredibly useful and start thinking about your work and your company or whatever you're building in terms of workflows, right? In terms of SOPs. And then you can build those into various AI platforms like Genspark and have it automate for you, which I have a ton for all of my businesses right now. So anyways, from workflows here, I'm going to go to new workflow. You also could just go based off of one of the templates that they have here. And for the workflow, we can actually just ask directly in the chat. And what it will do is start creating all of the different kind of actions or steps. You'll see that there's workflow here. We have starter, so we can choose, do we want to do this on a schedule when we get an email? And then we can go choose a step, and there's a bunch of different integrations that we can use. Now, in order for these integrations to work, you'll need to connect your accounts. So if you press this button in the bottom, you can add various connectors. You can see there are a ton of different options here. And in my case, I'm using like Gmail, Calendar, Drive, Contacts, Notion, and then I have Slack connected as well. So what I'm going to do here is I'm actually going to set up a workflow that's going to act kind of like a morning brief. So I already have a prompt that I want to roll with here, so I'm just going to paste it in and I'll read it to you. So step one is I want to check all of my overnight messages, my email, Slack, any notifications, and then summarize anything that needs my attention. Step two, I want to pull my calendar for today and identify what I need to prep for. And then step three, based on what came in overnight and what's on my calendar, generate a prioritized to-do list for the day. Step four, I want to take the top one or two simple tasks from that list, like drafting a reply, summarizing a document, whatever, and then actually complete them. And then step five, send me a full briefing with completed tasks by 7 a.m. every morning. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and press on enter here. Again, this is working because I've already added these various connectors. It's really easy. If you just press into it, you'll just sign in with Google and it will automatically connect it for you. And then what it should do here is start actually creating the nodes in the workflow for me. Once it's done, I'll be right back. Let's make sure it's spun up, and we'll be good to go. All right, so just completed the workflow here, and as a test, it actually sent me the good morning brief. It was connected to my dev launch email and said, hey, you have a group mentorship session today at 8 to 9 a.m. Pacific time. Check the emails. This is clean, 0 actions. Here's something we need to do about Kajabi. Okay, group mentorship. This is happening. Here's the information and the to-do list. And then here's what we're going to do. Okay, mini session, member spotlight, whatever. It's giving me an idea on how I could run that session. And I actually like how nice the email is formatted. I mean, that looks pretty good. And then if we go back here, you can see that it's now created kind of the workflow steps, which we could adjust, obviously, if it didn't match what we want, where we check overnight Gmail, check overnight Outlook, check overnight Slack messages, pull today's Google Calendar, also check the Outlook calendar, generate prioritize to do, complete the simple task, and then compose the HTML briefing and send it via email. And if we click into any step, we can see it's automatically been created here, and it says what we need to do using the Gmail search. Now, if we want to add these steps ourselves and be a bit more specific, we can actually pick a specific thing here, like, send message in Slack, search messages, look something up, but the AI is able to kind of have its own AI step, as you can see, that will automatically call these. But if we want it to be like super precise, then we can say, create new issue, right? And then we'll use that specific tool in this prompt, and it will know to go and use that tool, right, to create an issue on GitHub. I'm going to delete that one because I don't want that, but you kind of get the idea in terms of these additional steps that you can add to the workflow. So this is just one simple workflow, right? I'm going to keep this running because it will give me a morning brief, and it took me maybe 5 minutes to create this. And you'll see that if we go to the workflow, it's actually given kind of a full step-by-step list as well as the overall steps that we have here. But now imagine if you had 5 or 10 or 15 or 20 of these workflows running for different businesses or processes or habits or whatever you want to do. I mean, you can really automate things quite well. And this works super well when you know step by step exactly what you want to do, and you just want that to run on a specific trigger or schedule, right? Like when you receive an email or at a certain point in the day, which is super cool. Okay, so that's level 3, but now let's move to level 4. So now we move to level 4, which is running some type of autonomous AI agent that's always running in the background. Now for this, we're talking about something like OpenClaw, right? Or Hermes agent. Now you can deploy these on your own, you can run them on your own computer, but right inside of Genspark, they actually have their own version called Genspark Claw. It runs in a virtual private server securely in the cloud without you needing to configure anything. And this was literally me pressing one button, it spun it up, and now I have what they're calling my first AI employee. Now, the reason why you might want to use something like this is that it can run when you're not actively managing it or looking at it on the computer. So we had the workflows, right? And those might trigger on some kind of action or some kind of task. But with this, I can just give it a high level goal and it can run all night. It can create its own workflows. It can create its own skills. And if you look here just in the settings, we have different channels we can connect. So I can message it from WhatsApp or Line or Slack. I can connect to different services, right? You can see that we're already connected to some here, but we can connect a lot more. We can have various scheduled tasks that are automatically created here, right? You can see there's some templates for how to do that, like morning briefing, daily review, etc. You can directly access the terminal, so you can start messing with it and actually connect to the agent itself. You have files, settings, all of this kind of stuff. I'm not going to go through everything, but the point is that this is a lot more autonomous, meaning you don't need to give it step-by-step instructions. You just tell it, hey, I want this thing done, and it figures out how to do that, and it will run automatically in the background. So what I'm going to do is just give this a high-level task right now, and I'm going to say, hey, I want to create like a new landing page or something, and we'll just have it code it, deploy it, all of that. Let me put in a prompt and I'll show you what I mean. Okay, so I just told this I need to launch a simple landing page for a new product called Limelight for a flashlight attached to your boat that is used for fishing. Research what the best landing pages in this space look like, then build one for me, include an email sign-up form, compelling copy, modern design, and use image generation to show what the product might look like. Deploy it when you're done. And then I can choose the exact model that I want to run here. So in my case, I'll just go with Opus 4.6 at 1 million context. But again, you can pretty much pick whatever you want. And in the case of the Genspark Claw here, you get a certain number of credits for the claw specifically, but all of the other stuff that you use with AI is unlimited, as I mentioned, as long as you have some paid account. So let's go ahead and press on enter, and let's see what kind of happens here and what result we get. Okay, so it just finished. I just want to run through the log so you can kind of quickly see what happens. You see it actually started looking at skills that are pre-installed in here for doing like research, for example. You can see it found information, get lit, get bit, like fishing related stuff. Let's wait for image generation to complete. Okay, all the images are finished. And it went through and it did all of the steps without us needing to ask it step by step. It then created this site and deployed it to this URL, which we can view, right? So let's go through it. We can see 3,000 lumens, IP68, 20 hours, 50 feet depth, every feature on the radar. Okay. This is what it looks like. And these were again generated, with, I think it was GPT image 2. Not sure exactly what model, has the fake reviews, and then it even has the ability to put in our email to get early access, and you see that redirects down there. If we go product, it brings us to the product page, and we can view some more information. And that took maybe like 5 or 10 minutes. And of course, that was a relatively simple task, but if I ask it something much more complicated, I can just let this run. I can do it from my phone. I can connect it to different channels, and it can just run automatically in the background and even self-improve itself, as much as I want it to. Now, this is the difference that I was alluding to at the beginning of the video, right? Now, at level 1, I ask a question, we get text back. At level 4, I describe what I want done, and the AI just handles the entire execution. In this case, researching, building, deploying, organizing, generating images completely autonomously. Now, this clearly goes several steps beyond using other AI coding tools to just build a website, right? Now, you might be thinking OpenClaw can do this too. And it can, but as you've seen on my channel, installing OpenClaw can take a long time. You need to buy a new computer, you need to buy VPS, and you probably don't know how to set it up properly unless you want to follow through all of those steps, which can be a little bit complicated, especially if you're not technical. Whereas Genspark here provides the virtual machine, literally 2 clicks, you have it set up, and then in 5 minutes after that, you can connect it to whatever channel you want and start using it. So with all of this shown, let me give you a framework for how to actually use these steps. Now, if you have a quick question, use level 1, right? Open Super Agent, ask it a question, get your answer. Don't overcomplicate it. This is for everyone. I do it all the time. If you need a specific deliverable, that's level 2, like slides, documents, images, websites, spreadsheets, whatever. Use the dedicated AI tools because they produce better output than trying to get a chatbot to format things for you. Now, this is for busy professionals, one-person teams, whatever. You get the idea. Now, if you have a repetitive process, that's level 3. So build a workflow, set it up once, let it run, and if you're doing the same sequence of tasks more than twice, you should think about creating a workflow for it. Now, this honestly is where a lot of people are getting benefits of AI, is having these AI-based workflows to automate a ton of their tasks. Now, lastly, if you have a complex goal with unclear steps, that's level 4, right? Hand it to Claw, describe what done looks like, and let the agent figure out the path. Now, this is for those of you that have heard of Claw before, but maybe you haven't tried it out. You can do it really easily inside of Genspark. Now, the reason why I think this and Genspark is worth paying attention to and why they hit 250 million in ARR is that they are one of the only platforms that has all 4 of these levels in a dedicated workspace. So you're not just juggling 6 different subscriptions, you're not copying and pasting between tools, everything's connected together. Now, just so you're aware, if you do sign up for this and you are a new user, you will get some free credit, so you don't need to pay to try this out. And if you do upgrade to a paid plan, then you will get unlimited use of AI chat and AI image generation all throughout 2026, which is subject, of course, to the abuse guardrails that Genspark has set. Anyways, I'm going to leave a link to it in the description. Let me know what you guys thought of this video and how you're using AI agents in 2026. I think it's genuinely very helpful to see the 4 different levels here and understand how you could be using them better. Anyways, if you enjoyed this video, leave a like, subscribe, and I will see you in the next one.